She closed her eyes because there was nothing left to fight. The sky above the ruined plane burned a violent red, torn apart by falling debris and silent explosions. The ground shook once, twice, then settled into a low, endless tremor. Around her, the battlefield was quiet in the worst possible way. No shouting. No orders. No alarms. Just smoke, broken machines, and bodies that would never move again. Erebos lay pinned beneath the twisted frame of a shattered defense tower. Her armor was cracked. Her breathing was shallow. Her visor flickered and died, leaving her alone with the sound of her own heart slowing down. This was it. She had been trained for this moment. Humans didn't panic at the end. They accepted it. They endured. They remembered why they fought. Era thought of Earth. Blue oceans. Loud cities. Wind through trees she had never appreciated enough. She thought of her brother, who believed humans were too stubborn to ever lose a war. She almost laughed at that. Almost. Her fingers twitched once, then went still. The alien war machines had already moved on, searching for survivors to finish later. She was beneath notice now. Just another broken human on a conquered world. She closed her eyes. Then she felt hands. Not claws. Not metal grips. Not the cold precision of an alien drone. Hands. Warm. Shaking slightly. Careful. A voice followed. Low. Human. Close. Hey, don't do that. Stay with me. Era's eyes flew open. For a moment, she thought she was hallucinating. That her brain had decided to be cruel in its final seconds. Above her was a face smeared with ash and blood. A cracked helmet pulled back. Wide eyes filled with panic and focus and something else she couldn't place. Hope. The man was human. Okay, he muttered, bracing himself. This is going to hurt. I'm sorry in advance. The wreckage shifted as he lifted with everything he had. Pain exploded through Era's body, sharp and bright, but she welcomed it. Pain meant she was still alive. She gasped as fresh air hit her lungs. The man dragged her free, inch by inch, until they both collapsed behind a burnt-out transport hull. He lay there for a second, breathing hard, then laughed quietly like someone who couldn't believe his own stupidity. "You're alive," he said. Wow. That's actually good news." Era tried to speak. Her throat burned. "Why?" she finally managed. He blinked. "Why what?" "Why are you here?" she asked. "The sector fell." "Yeah," he said. "It did. But you didn't." He checked her armor quickly, hands moving fast but gentle. "Name's Jonah Reed. Civil engineer. Or I was." Then the aliens showed up and decided cities were optional. She stared at him, confused. "You're not military." "Nope," he said. "I build bridges." She almost laughed again. Alien shadow drones swept across the sky in the distance. Jonah cursed under his breath. "We can't stay," he said. "They'll sweep back through." "You should leave me," Era said. "I'm slowing you down." Jonah shook his head immediately. "No. It's logical," she insisted. "You survive. I don't." "That's not how humans work," he said, tightening a strap around her armor to help her walk. "We don't do the math when someone's still breathing." They moved through the wreckage slowly, using smoke and debris for cover. Jonah knew the terrain better than any soldier. He pointed out collapsed tunnels, broken infrastructure, places where the alien scanners would fail. "You planned this?" Era asked. He shook his head. "I adapted." That word hit her harder than the pain. Adapted. They reached a half-buried maintenance tunnel just as a scanning beam sliced across the battlefield behind them. Jonah pulled her inside and sealed the hatch manually. Darkness swallowed them. For several seconds, neither spoke. Era realized something terrifying. The aliens had studied humans for decades. They had analyzed weapons, military doctrine, strategy. They had not studied this. They had not planned for civilians who refused to break. For engineers who turned ruins into escape routes. For humans who would run toward death if it meant pulling someone else back. Jonah leaned against the wall, catching his breath. "You're going to be okay," he said, more like a promise than a guess. Era looked at her shaking hands. At the blood drying on her armor. "No," she said quietly. "But we are." Outside, alien machines prowled the ruins, certain of victory. They had no idea what they had just missed. And deep beneath the battlefield, two humans prepared to remind the galaxy why conquering Earth had been a terrible mistake. The tunnels smelled like rust, wet stone, and old electricity. Jonah moved carefully, one hand on the wall, the other gripping a handheld light that flickered like it was reconsidering its life choices. Era leaned heavily against him, every step sending sharp reminders through her ribs that several of them were cracked. Still, she walked. Pain was familiar. Surrender was not. Behind them, the distant hum of alien patrol drones echoed through the broken city above. Their scanners swept in slow, confident patterns. They believed the battlefield was already solved. That belief would cost them. "This tunnel wasn't on any of the invasion maps," Era said quietly. Jonah nodded. Of course it wasn't. Humans stopped updating those after the third infrastructure collapse. Too depressing. She glanced at him. "You joke during retreats." "I joke during panic," he replied. "Helps keep my brain from screaming." They reached a junction where the tunnel widened into an underground chamber filled with old machinery. Massive pipes lined the walls. Broken consoles lay scattered like the bones of forgotten technology. Jonah smiled. "Oh, thank God," he said. Era frowned. "This is good." "This," he said, tapping a rusted control panel, "is an auxiliary power hub. It's used to redirect energy during blackouts. If it still works, we can hide our heat signature and maybe, just maybe, do something stupid." Her ears perked slightly. Humans do stupid things often. Our greatest achievements started that way. He connected a portable device to the console, sparks flying immediately. "Still alive," he muttered. "Barely. Like me." Lights flickered on across the chamber, dim and uneven, but real. Era felt something shift inside her chest that had nothing to do with pain. Hope. She leaned against a support column while Jonah worked. Her internal systems were slowly stabilizing, nanofibers sealing small tears in her armor, but she was far from combat ready. Jonah noticed her breathing hitch. "Sit," he ordered gently. "I've got this." "You're exposed," she warned. "Alien scouts won't scan this deep," he finished. "Their doctrine says underground human infrastructure is unstable and inefficient." She stared at him. "And that's wrong." Jonah grinned. "It's human." The ground above them rumbled. Era closed her eyes briefly as a memory surfaced. Alien commanders, calm and logical, discussing humanity as a problem already solved. Too emotional. Too chaotic. Too divided. Too predictable. "They think humans break when systems fail," she said. Jonah tightened a bolt. "We build new ones." The console hummed louder. Power flowed. Somewhere above, alien sensors flickered. The first drone exploded mid-air without warning. An alien commander aboard an orbital control ship tilted its head in confusion. The energy spike made no sense. Human weapons were offline. Power grids were destroyed. And yet, another drone vanished in a flash of light. "What happened?" one of the alien analysts demanded. "No hostile signatures detected," replied another. "No weapons fire." Below the surface, Jonah wiped sweat from his brow. "Okay," he said. "This part is risky." "What did you do?" Era asked. "I rerouted power through abandoned defense nodes. Old ones. Primitive by alien standards." She stiffened. "Those were decommissioned decades ago." "Exactly," Jonah said. "They don't know they exist." Above them, alien drones began falling out of the sky, systems overloaded by unpredictable surges. The alien fleet hesitated. Confusion spread. Era pushed herself to her feet, ignoring the pain. You're weaponizing infrastructure. Jonah shrugged. I prefer creative problem-solving. For the first time since the invasion began, the aliens pulled back. Not retreating. Recalculating. Era felt something unfamiliar rise inside her. Pride. Her communicator crackled weakly. A signal. Faint. Human. This is Resistance Node Echo 7, a voice whispered. Any survivors, respond. Era grabbed the device with shaking hands. This is Era Voss. I am alive. Silence. Then, repeat that. She smiled. Human stubbornness confirmed. Jonah laughed quietly. Echo 7 responded quickly. We're underground. We thought we were alone. You're not, Jonah said into the comm, and you've got power again. The pause on the other end was long. How? Jonah glanced at the humming machinery around them. Humans don't ask permission from broken systems. Above, alien commanders watched their perfect invasion model fracture. Humans were appearing where logic said they should be dead. Power was flowing where it should not exist. This was not resistance. This was improvisation. Era looked at Jonah, seeing him clearly now. Not a soldier. Not a hero by training. A builder. And builders, she realized, were the most dangerous humans of all. Jonah, she said, steady despite the pain. They will adapt. He nodded. So will we. She reached out, placing a hand on his arm. You saved my life. He met her eyes. Then let's make it count. Deep in the alien command network, a new directive was issued. Human behavior unpredictable. Previous assumptions invalid. For the first time, the invasion encountered something it could not calculate. Human creativity. And the war had just changed. The alien command ship hovered in perfect silence above the planet, its surface smooth and flawless, untouched by the chaos below. Inside, the command chamber glowed with shifting symbols and floating data streams. None of them made sense anymore. Human resistance is increasing, reported one of the analysts, its voice tight with confusion. Infrastructure nodes previously classified as inactive are producing power surges. That is impossible, said Commander Zyron calmly. Human systems lack redundancy at this scale. The analyst hesitated. They appear to be inventing it. Zyron did not like that word. Inventing. Below the surface, Jonah and Era moved fast. Echo 7's resistance cell had joined them, emerging from hidden tunnels and sealed chambers. Engineers. Medics. A few exhausted soldiers. All of them alive because humans refused to stay where they were told to die. Jonah stood over a crude projection of the underground network, lines and symbols overlapping in messy, brilliant chaos. This isn't a base, one of the resistance fighters said. It's a maze. Exactly, Jonah replied. Aliens love clean maps. Straight lines. Clear objectives. Era leaned closer. And we give them none. Human hands flew over salvaged terminals. Old satellites were reactivated. Broken comm towers were rewired using materials never meant for warfare. Era watched, stunned. They taught us to fight like them, she said quietly. Precision. Efficiency. Jonah smiled. Yeah. That was their first mistake. Above ground, alien patrols advanced cautiously, their formations tighter now, more alert. Their sensors screamed warnings they could not interpret. The city below them was waking up. Not with weapons. With ideas. A water purification system was turned into an energy dampener. Traffic control drones were hacked to jam alien signals. Emergency shelters became data hubs. Children's learning tablets were stripped for processors. Everything humans had ever built became a tool. The first human counterstrike was invisible. Alien drones began losing coordination. Their flawless synchronization broke into hesitation. Some stopped mid-air, confused by conflicting data. Others collided. Alien commanders exchanged silent signals. This is inefficient, one said. This is not warfare, another replied. Xiron watched the feeds carefully. No, the commander said slowly. This is culture. On the ground, Era joined a small strike team moving through the ruins. Her injuries still burned, but her movements were steady now. Purpose carried her. They reached a collapsed transit station where alien signal relays had been installed. Massive organic metal structures pulsed softly, feeding data directly into orbit. Jonah crouched beside the relay, eyes wide. Oh, this is bad design, he muttered. Era blinked. Bad? Yeah, he said. They centralized it. He pulled a small device from his pack. It looked harmless. Almost childish. What is that? Era asked. Coffee maker, he said. Was. He wired it into the relay. The alien signal spiked violently, then collapsed. Orbit side, alarms blared. What did they do? An alien officer demanded. Unknown, replied the analyst. They used domestic technology. Silence followed. Era and Jonah ran as the relay imploded behind them, folding inward like a dying star. Human resistance cells across the planet cheered as alien coordination fractured further. For the first time, humans weren't reacting. They were hunting. Xiron stood still, absorbing the data. These humans do not seek order, the commander said. They seek possibility. On the ground, Jonah paused, catching his breath. You okay? Era asked. He nodded. Yeah. Just realizing something. What? He looked up at the ruined skyline, smoke drifting between broken towers. They didn't lose because we're stronger, he said. They lost because they don't understand us. Era followed his gaze. They will learn, she said. Jonah shook his head. No. They'll try. A deep rumble shook the ground. Above them, alien warforms descended. Larger. Heavier. Adapted for urban combat. They've had enough, one resistance fighter whispered. Era straightened. So have we. She stepped forward, activating a captured alien beacon. Human signals flooded through it, bouncing across the planet. This is Era Voss, she said clearly. To every human still alive. They are not unbeatable. They are not gods. They break when forced to think like us. The message spread. From bunkers. From ruins. From underground shelters. Humans answered. Not with orders. With action. Alien warforms advanced, and found streets that no longer obeyed physics, traps built from playground equipment and collapsed art installations, ambushes designed by teachers, mechanics, and engineers. The aliens fought perfectly. Humans fought creatively. And creativity was winning. In orbit, Commander Xiron made a decision no alien commander had made before. Begin withdrawal calculations, Xiron ordered. Shock rippled through the command chamber. This world is not worth the cost, Xiron said. Humans are not a conquered species. Below, Era watched an alien warform retreat, its armor scorched and systems failing. She exhaled slowly. Jonah stood beside her, exhausted and grinning. Told you, he said. Never underestimate a species that builds things just to see if they can. The war was not over. But the galaxy had learned something new. Humans did not fight to dominate. They fought to endure. And endurance, when mixed with imagination, was unstoppable. The alien fleet did not retreat far. They pulled back just enough to think. That alone terrified their own commanders. Commander Xiron stood before the strategic hololith, watching human activity spread like living fire across the planet's surface. Every model predicted collapse. Every equation failed. Human resistance was not stabilizing. It was evolving. Human coordination has increased by 43%, an analyst reported. Without centralized command. Xiron folded its hands behind its back. Explain. They are sharing solutions, the analyst said carefully. Not orders. Ideas. Below the ruined city, Jonah watched that same truth unfold in real time. Human voices filled the underground hub. Engineers argued loudly. Medics patched wounds while offering suggestions. Civilians rewired systems they barely understood, and somehow made them better. No rank. No command hierarchy. Just collaboration. Era leaned against a reinforced pillar, observing quietly. Her body still ached, but her mind was sharp. She had studied dozens of species. None behaved like this. They should be collapsing into chaos, she murmured. Jonah snorted. Oh, they are. He gestured around. But chaos is kind of our thing. An alarm chimed, not alien, but human. A scout rushed in. They're moving heavy units back in. Bigger than before. The room fell silent. Era straightened. They're desperate. Jonah nodded slowly. That's when people make bad choices. The ground trembled as alien siege platforms descended, massive constructs designed to erase entire zones in controlled annihilation. These were not conquest tools. They were extermination tools. Alien command channels lit up. This planet no longer meets efficiency standards, one alien official stated. Authorize total suppression. Zyron hesitated. Commander, another urged. Humans are destabilizing regional control. This threat may spread. Zyron watched footage of humans dragging wounded strangers to safety. Of children carrying power cells bigger than their torsos. Of civilians refusing to abandon each other. This species adapts emotionally, Zyron said. They bond under stress. Emotion is weakness, an official replied. No, Zyron said quietly. Emotion is force. On the ground, Era addressed the resistance hub. They will try to break us completely, she said. They believe fear will succeed where logic failed. Jonah stepped forward. Then we don't give them fear. He pulled up a city-wide map. We don't fight their platforms, he said. We disappear. A murmur spread. Era studied the plan forming in his mind. You want to abandon everything. Temporarily, Jonah replied. We take our people, our knowledge, and our creativity underground. Let them burn empty cities. Silence. Then a voice from the back. They'll think they won. Jonah smiled grimly. Exactly. Alien siege platforms fired. Entire city blocks vanished in controlled white light. And found nothing. No humans. No resistance nodes. No targets. Alien sensors screamed errors. Where did they go? An officer demanded. They're gone, the analyst replied. No life signs. Zyron watched carefully. They didn't die, the commander said. They chose. Underground, humans moved through tunnels, magrails, forgotten subways, and maintenance corridors. Entire communities relocated in hours, guided by shared maps and borrowed courage. Era helped where she could, lifting debris, guiding injured survivors. A child looked up at her. Are the aliens monsters? Era hesitated. No, she said finally. They just don't understand us. Above, alien platforms hovered over silent ruins. We have neutralized resistance, an officer declared. Zyron remained silent. Something was wrong. The planet felt quiet. Then human signals surged. Not from cities. From everywhere else. Forests, deserts. Oceans. Old satellites reactivated. Emergency transmitters lit up. Human voices filled space with laughter, music, and defiance. Jonah's voice echoed across frequencies. You can have the buildings, he said calmly. We were never the buildings. Alien commanders stared in disbelief. Zyron felt something alien to itself. Respect. You see now, Zyron said softly. They do not cling to territory. They cling to each other. The Alien Council issued an emergency directive. Cease planetary annihilation. The order stunned the fleet. Zyron turned from the hololith. This war cannot be won, the commander said. Not without becoming something worse than them. On the ground, Era stood beside Jonah as alien platforms withdrew. They stopped, she said. Jonah exhaled. Good. Because I was out of good ideas. She smiled faintly. You underestimate yourself. The sky darkened, not with fire, but with retreat. Humanity had not defeated the aliens through strength. They had done something far more dangerous. They had forced the enemy to see them. And that realization changed everything. The alien fleet did not leave immediately. That alone sent waves of tension through the underground networks. Humans waited in silence, listening to sensors, watching the skies through cracked periscopes and improvised satellites. They had learned not to trust quiet. Jonah sat beside a low-power console, exhausted beyond words. His hands were blackened with grease and burns. His voice was almost gone. Era stood nearby, watching the data stream scroll past. They're holding position, she said. Jonah nodded. That means talking. Or thinking. Both are dangerous, Era replied. Above the planet, Commander Zyron faced the High Council for the first time since the invasion began. The Council's forms shimmered with controlled agitation. This operation has exceeded acceptable loss thresholds, one councillor stated. You will explain. Zyron projected the data. Human improvisation. Infrastructure repurposing. Psychological resilience. Cultural bonding under pressure. They do not fight as individuals, Zyron said. They fight as ideas. That is irrelevant, another councillor snapped. Ideas can be erased. No, Zyron replied. Not once shared. Silence followed. They do not require victory, Zyron continued. Only survival. And once they survive, they change. The council processed this. What do you recommend? The high voice asked. Zyron did not hesitate. Withdrawal, the commander said. And classification. Classification. Humanity is not prey, Zyron said. Humanity is a catalyst. On the ground, alien signals shifted. Jonah stared at the console. Era. I think they're opening a channel. Era stiffened. A voice filled every frequency at once. Calm. Measured. Alien. People of Earth, Zyron said. This conflict will end. The underground hubs exploded with sound. Cheers. Shouts. Tears. Era closed her eyes briefly. Jonah laughed softly. Holy hell. It worked. The transmission continued. We came believing strength was measured by control, Zyron said. We were incorrect. Images appeared in the sky, alien projections visible even through the ruins. Humans watched as their own actions were displayed. Helping each other. Rebuilding. Adapting. You showed us something rare, Zyron said. A species that survives not by dominance, but by connection. The alien fleet began to pull away. We will not return as conquerors, Zyron concluded. And we will ensure others do not. The signal ended. For a long moment, Earth was silent. Then humanity breathed. Jonah sat down hard, laughing and crying at the same time. We did it, he whispered. Era looked at the retreating stars. No, she said softly. We chose. Weeks later, the world began again. Cities rebuilt, not as they were, but better. Power grids redesigned for flexibility. Communication networks open and shared. No single point of failure. Humans remembered the lesson. Era stood on a hill overlooking a reconstruction site. Jonah joined her, handing her a cup of something warm. Not coffee, he warned. We're rationing joy. She smiled. What will you do now? She asked. Jonah shrugged. Build things. Break some. Fix them again. She nodded. That sounds human. Era had a choice to make. Return to her people. File reports. Resume the life she had known. Or stay. She watched children laughing among half-built structures. Humans teaching each other without orders. I think, she said slowly, I will remain. Jonah raised an eyebrow. Earth has a habit of doing that to people. Above them, the sky was clear. Somewhere far away, alien civilizations would review the data. They would learn. They would whisper one truth to each other. Do not underestimate humans. Because when pushed to the edge, they don't fall. They adapt. They imagine. They endure. And when they open their eyes, expecting death, they change everything.